Mike Bibby and the Sacramento Kings in a must-win situation. Timberwolves and Kings coming up in moments.
Welcome to the day after tomorrow's presentation of ESPN's Play Like There's No Tomorrow.
Arco Arena in Sacramento, sold out once again. Fans, though, a little anxious as their team is down 2-1 in this best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal.
I really feel like we have the personnel, we have the drive, we have the focus, and we have the energy.
Down 0-1 of the series and trailing by 10 with under 4 to go. The Wolves were staring at an 0-2 series deficit until Sam Cassell came alive. Cassell, three-point lead. Game 3 was another thriller as the Kings stage a furious comeback from 13 down in the final 2:10 to force OT.
Page is open, three's on the way. He's got the triple. Stojakovic has tied the game.
In overtime, Kevin Garnett showed his MVP form and gave Minnesota a 2-1 series lead.
It's reality now. It's real. You can see it. You can grab it. You make it sense it.
But I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Lawrence O'Brien NBA Championship Trophy in Arco Arena. But the question is, will it be here ever in late June? As we have Game 4 from this madhouse that is packed once again. Take a look at our McDonald's brackets for the playoffs. Miami with a terrific win to tie that series. New Jersey Nets with 2 wins to tie that series. Same for the Lakers. Now can Sacramento win Game 4 and make them all 2-2. Good evening, everyone. Along with Bill Walton, Mike Green on hand. Jim Gray will join us shortly. For Minnesota, they're the #1 seed, so it's not a shock. Kevin Garnett has been the MVP, and he's had a lot of help as well, Bill.
Mike, you need the great player to set the tone, and Kevin Garnett has done that, putting up huge numbers, plus getting to the free throw line 9 times per game in this series. But the help from Trent Hassel, Fred Hoiberg, and Mark Madsen has just been absolutely spectacular.
Some unlikely sources helping out Kevin Garnett as they have this 2-1 lead. Let's take a look at our Bud Light starting lineups. Trent Hassel, as Bill mentioned, has played well, as has Sprewell, especially defensively. Peja Stojakovic, of course, he's going to be a key, Bill. After what he did at the end of Game 3, they need him to be strong.
Peja Stojakovic is the second leading scorer in the NBA. He is the league's best shooter on the best shooting team in the entire NBA. But he's shooting under 38% for this series. He's been getting off to slow starts. He had a great close to Game 3. He'll need to continue and inspire this team. Now we have more from Jim Gray.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. I spoke to several of the Kings before the game, and they have the feeling in their locker room very much the same as a couple of years ago. It's Robert Horry all over again. They feel as though they've given away a couple of games. At worst, they feel they should be up 2-1. At best, possibly 3-0. I talked to Peja Stojakovic about it. He said the team is still confident. He said, however, it was 73-year-old Hall of Fame coach, assistant coach Pete Carrill, who broke the ice. He told the team the following: hey guys, the past is the past. Take it from me. I know tomorrow is another day. This is the only way you can approach it. Mike?
Well, Jim, they might still be confident, but Minnesota is very confident, and they're certainly not intimidated here. They are 3-0 in Arco Arena this year. Obviously, the win in Game 3, and they won both regular season games here. So this big hostile crowd does not affect them very much.
5 of the last 9 games between these two franchises have gone to overtime. Talking to the Timberwolves, they know that Sacramento will play their best ball right now in this opening 12 minutes. Minnesota has to show that they are here to compete, not happy to just have the home court advantage back, and be ready to win it at the very closing moments of this game tonight.
Look at the playoffs and all the talk about home court advantage as Garnett gets his first shot. The ironic thing, these two teams have played now 7 times, 3 so far in the playoffs, 4 in the regular season. The road team has won 5 of the 7 games between the two this season.
The opening jumper by Kevin Garnett. That's what the MVP is all about. Come out and set that tone.
Off the mark. We see again Sprewell is on Bibby after Bibby exploded in Game 1. Sprewell switched to him defensively and has done a superb job.
And Bibby's going to stay with Sprewell here, trying to keep size with Christie on Sam Cassell.
Trent Hassel That goes down. Trenton Hassel has been unbelievable in this series. He's scored in double figures all 3 games, averaging 15 points a game, and he's shooting 55% of the playoffs.
They're not guarding Trenton Hassel. Nice poke away by Doug Christie, who seems everywhere on the court. And I know Jim Gray has an update on Doug Christie's foot situation. Jim?
Mike, Doug Christie took a shot before the game in his left foot in Game 3 for plantar fasciitis. He did not take that shot tonight. He says it is ready and back in the locker room. He might have to take it at halftime. It is bothering him. It nubbed it pretty good in Game 3, and he feels as though he's going to have to go to it again tonight, but he didn't want it to start the game. Mike?
He played a great Game 3 as Cassell misses from 3-point range. Again, a key for Sacramento, and Rick Adelman talked to us before the game, is getting Peja Stojakovic involved early, but not to force it. He needs to be patient. That's one of the keys for him, Bill.
He had such a horrendous start to Game 3. Vlade Divac strong in the offensive end, but Trent Hassel establishing himself as one of the premier defensive players, and he is just staying at home with Peja Stojakovic. They're going to need to do more in terms of setting the screen to create opportunities for Peja Stojakovic.
Springwell. 3-1 go. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been very strong from 3-point range in the playoffs. They're the top 3-point shooting team in the postseason.
A lot of perimeter stuff for Minnesota. Vlade taking it to the hoop, trying to get to the free throw line, establishing tempo and control.
He threw up his right elbow as he was taking a shot. Kevin Garnett trying to tell Bernie Fryer, hey, watch the elbow there, but the foul is on Garnett, and it's his first.
Vlade, one of the legendary players in international basketball. A lot of talk about this might be the end of the line for Vlade. I think he's got a lot of basketball left in him.
Well, he's got some decisions to make. There's no doubt about it. He could certainly retire from the NBA. He could go play in Europe for a little bit. He can go to another team.
Mike, Vlade Divac has let the Maloofs know that he would like to continue playing if they can work it out, and he would like to stay here in Sacramento, not only next year, but beyond, Mike.
This is that execution of the offense with Garnett playing the point guard, so they can do with or without Sam Cassell in the lineup.
Cassell, a very good post-up player, but Bibby had him a little further out than he wanted.
I think it's a critical opening moment for Sam Cassell, who really let his team down in the closing moments of Game 3. Vlade certainly asserting himself offensively.
Gibby comes up with a loose ball. A nice split. Gibby right, gets it out. He was going to shoot it over Garnett. And Chris Webber knocks it down. And the Sacramento Kings score 5 straight points.
Gibby, when he does split that pick, he's looking to pass the ball. The Timberwolves have to make that adjustment and start anticipating that. A good poke away by Bibby, and then he gets a pork chop through his own jaw.
He says that you will poke it away, but I'm not letting you get to the ball. D-backs with a hard foul, but certainly a clean one.
There's a couple of veterans who won't get involved in any of the nonsense. Nice competitive response by Sam Cassell.
Divac then pushes Irvin Johnson, who comes over to have a word with Divac.
You have veteran teams here. That's a great block by Vlade Divac. And then Sam comes right back and bumps him, smile on his face. Irvin Johnson standing in there saying nothing is going to come between my point guard and moving on to the Western Conference Finals.
Sam Cassell, who fouled out in Game 3, picked up 5 fouls in the fourth quarter. His comment was, I know I'm a hack, but dang.
That was mindless, senseless behavior by Sam Cassell. He's too good a player. I voted for him for the first team All-NBA point guard. He thought that game was over. He was out there just goofing around. He cost his team an easy victory there. They were very fortunate to win in overtime.
Cassell was second team All-NBA as Webber knocks it down. Chris Webber talks after the Game 3, we need to get the ball in the low post to me. Well, he's hit a couple of jumpers to start off here in the first.
He no longer takes it to the rack. Nice to talk about in a post-game interview. How about doing it in the game?
Garnett, ball for travel, took the extra step, and a turnover for Minnesota, their first. That was a key for them in Game 3 as Bibby lost it. How about it from Minnesota, Bill? Because they're always one of the better teams in terms of turnovers. amongst the leaders in fewest per game. They had 18 turnovers in game 1, but in games 2 and 3, 19 turnovers. Pretty impressive.
Particularly in such an up-tempo game. This series by far the highest scoring series in the entire NBA playoffs this year.
Garnett. Stojakovic was calling for the ball. Nice move without the ball, and he draws the foul. Trenton Hassel will pick up his first, and Stojakovic to the line where he missed 3 free throws in game 3, shockingly, after hitting 66 in a row.
The execution of the dribble handoff, which is the initial play for Sacramento's offense, has worked beautifully, and it's getting Peja Stojakovic, the game's best shooter, a trip to the line.
So with timeout taken, almost 4 minutes gone by here in the first, and the Kings with a 1-point lead. Early first quarter of game 4, and Sacramento with a 1-point lead. First, Peja Stojakovic had such a great regular season and had a terrific end to game 3, but he has not shot the ball well in the playoffs, and certainly not in the postseason.
The movement without the ball, the trademark of Peja Stojakovic's game, and the ability of the high post guys to put that ball right on the mark. Now, you talked about the great finish where Peja Stojakovic made 8 of his final 11 shots, including 4 3-pointers, Mike. But he missed 10 of his first 12 shots, which dug a huge and ultimately too deep of a hole for the Sacramento Kings.
Stojakovic shooting just 29% from three-point range in the playoffs. And in this series, he's at 38% overall.
Another missed free throw. That's 4 in 2 games. This is a guy who had a 65 free throw streak.
66. 2-point lead for the Kings. Of course, these games don't mean anything until 4 minutes are left, the way these two teams have got at it. But they have battled, not just in the playoffs, but in the regular season. And Garnett, in and out.
Has Minnesota even attempted a drive to the hoop? Everything from way outside, even 3-pointers.
Divac. Good help defense there from Irvin Johnson coming over.
Kevin Garnett, the game's best rebounder, always has his biggest rebounding nights against this Sacramento team.
Trenton Hassel. Minnesota's now missed their last 6 shots from the field.
No offensive rebounds whatsoever. You're not knocking down your shots. Get to the free throw line.
Weber has the hot hand early. He's 3 for 3 from the field.
And regarding Chris Webber at this point of his career, why don't you just get up in his face? He's not explosive or athletic enough to get to the hoop and finish strong.
Weber's had his good days and bad days. There's some games during the end of the regular season in the playoffs where he was strong, but that team is certainly not near 100%. Some days where he looks like it's really bothering him.
Zone defense here, trying to find a seam. Hope to Lake Christie.
Got it back, but not before the shot clock expired. And the second turnover for Flip Saunders' team.
I would continue to attack with Vlade Divac right here. He's going to be going to the bench pretty soon. He's been playing strong, rolling to the hoop.
Well, they play so well when he's active. He's been such a huge part of this team's growth over the years. Like the father figure of the club.
Rick Adelman talking to us before the game how he wants to play Vlade more.
It's Minnesota ball. Christie touched it last. Good hustle from both teams.
Need to wipe the floor up. It's so dangerous out there. A guy slides across the floor. The ball's dead and out of bounds. Bring the ball out real quick with the mop.
Hassel again left wide open, and Hassel continues to hit the open shot.
This is becoming a strategic mistake for the Sacramento Kings. They have committed to letting Irvin Johnson and Trenton Hassel beat them with jumpers. Hassel is beating them. They're going to have to start staying at home on him.
He's 4th in the NBA playoffs in field goal percentage. As we said earlier, it's 55%.
I love the dribble handoff by the Sacramento Kings.
And a reach-in foul. Divac tried to throw it away. Irvin Johnson will pick up his first.
Trent Hassel, who scored in double figures in 3 straight games, never even hit double figures in 2 consecutive games in the regular season. this series, getting 15 points per game as they've just left him wide open. And this is a big-time scorer. His final year at Austin Peay, he averaged 23 points per game.
He was always a scorer in college and has made his name in the NBA defensively. Stojakovic. Nice defense for Sell. You don't hear that phrase very often.
That should have been an offensive foul on Doug Christie, who just jumped right into the Sell.
A shot clock violation again. The shot didn't hit the rim.
He just jumped right in there. Sam was bailing out, trying not to get involved. And if he had held his ground, he would have drawn that offensive foul. They're double teaming that high screen and roll for Minnesota. A lot of zone defense by Sacramento.
Shot clock down to 5. Cassell finds an opening. And Sam Cassell able to knock it down. His first field goal, 4 points for Cassell. The game's tied again. Bibby poked out of bounds. Still Kings ball. Again, as Anthony Peeler is going to come into the game. I want to remind you, join ABC Sports tomorrow night. Prime time, 8 Eastern. And the Lakers and the Spurs now back in San Antonio for Game 5 of that Western Conference semifinal. It's all even now at 2 apiece.
What has happened to Tim Duncan? The lost weekend in Los Angeles with a former MVP of the NBA.
From Weber. And Anthony Peeler, who they would love to get untracked offensively, comes off the bench and quickly scores.
Again, big men passing the execution out of the dead ball. Sacramento has been supreme in this series with that.
Barnett couldn't handle it, and you got to credit Chris Webber's defense there on the double team with forcing that turnover.
But one of the offensive keys that Flip Saunders has been harping about for his Timberwolves is that we've got to handle their double teaming and their switching of our interchanges on the perimeters better. We have to attack as Bibby does right here so magnificently.
4 for 4 from the field.
Bibby is toying with Minnesota's defense. He either goes around the double team or goes right through him. They cannot slow this guy down.
Sprewell. And Latrell Sprewell. His first field goal after that rough stretch with him is 6 in a row. Minnesota's bounced back nicely. Bibby wide open for 3.
Bibby, who's been shooting so much better in the first half than he has been in the second half of these games in this series, really has to find the key to consistency down the stretch.
Cassell, offensive foul. Lower the shoulder, and Cassell picks up his first. The defense for Mike Bibby forcing that turnover.
Bibby set the tone for this series in Game 1 in the opening moments when he completely destroyed Sam Cassell on the defensive end. Just stripped the ball from him, ignited fast breaks. Sadly, though, it's been a downhill slide for Mike Bibby since that time in Game 1.
Bibby, tough forward shot, won't go. Fight for the rebound, Garnett. Garnett leading all NBA playoff performers in rebounds as he did during the regular season. Picking the post up, Bibby. Nice. Fine Johnson. Well, I couldn't tell if he stepped out of bounds or a travel. Either way, it's a turnover. And some words exchanged between Sam Cassell and some of the Sacramento Kings.
Anthony Peeler right in the middle of that. Spirited performance at the outset for the Kings.
Sacramento shooting 54% from the field. They were the best shooting team in the regular season. They've struggled at times in the postseason. Not so far tonight. The Sacramento Kings have not lost 3 games in a row all season long. They've lost 2 in a row. Trying to avoid the third as we look at the power forward matchup. The numbers, Weber's put up good numbers, but it's clear he's still not near 100%. And of course, Garnett has been superb in the postseason, not shooting the ball all that well in this series. As we'll look at our Sprite Mad skills.
Chris Webber is our award winner tonight, the same way he has been one of the members of the NBA's all-time team or all-league team the last 5 years here, but no longer the explosive player that he was when he first joined this league for the Golden State Warriors. Now settling for the perimeter jumpers, realizing it is a game of skill, knocking down That wide open shot is the execution of the offense, but his ability to take on Kevin Garnett has really been a major factor in this series, because the gap for Minnesota to win, the gap has to be huge of Garnett, now a younger and better player than Chris Webber, has not been as big as expected coming in.
Brad Miller comes in for Sacramento. Michael Olowokandi in as you see guarding Webber. And Webber now 5 for 5 from the field.
As soon as Michael Olowokandi comes in the game, it's the first time that Webber goes to the hoop. Unfortunately for Minnesota, they're settling for the perimeter game. They got 5 turnovers and 0 points in the paint. They've only taken 2 free throw attempts.
Sprewell. Oh, good boxing out and let it go out of bounds. Yeah, this is one of the toughest places to win on the road. They were 34-7 during the regular season, but Minnesota had 2 of those 7 victories. And then you had the Game 3 win. Beautiful pass. 6 for 6 for Webber.
Minnesota, though, is the best road team in the NBA. They were
tied with Indiana.
7-0 run here by the Sacramento Kings, keyed by the brilliant playmaking of Mike Bibby.
Calling for the ball. Trying to find Garnett. Not a smart pass.
How long can they risk going with Michael Olowokandi and wasting Mark Madsen's minutes on the bench over there?
And Peeler couldn't handle a pass. So 4th turnover for Sacramento. Fred Hoiberg set the check and get to the scores table in time.
When you look at the contributions of Hoiberg and Hassel, role players here, they're averaging 27 points, 7 rebounds on 52% shooting between the 2 of them. That is a remarkable contribution.
Whereas Sacramento's bench without Bobby Jackson is certainly not that deep. They've only played really 7 players in this series. Shot clock winding down. Sprewell has it knocked away. Good defense from Peeler, but a 24-second violation. That Garnett basket will not count. And another turnover for Minnesota. There's 7. And a quick return to action here of Vlade Divac. Rick Adelman well aware that this is a must-win game for his Kings. And Minnesota weathered this initial onslaught of Sacramento. You know, Bill, we talked about the psyche of Sacramento after 2 tough losses. They've obviously gotten over it very well.
But what did Rick Adelman describe his team as? Extremely resilient.
Sacramento just flips it up. But of course, the key will come at the end of a close game. Will it be going through their heads at the end of the 4th quarter in a close game?
If I'm Minnesota, I just keep running and keep attacking. They're deeper, they're younger. Traveling violation over the Candy. Yet another turnover for the Timberwolves.
Flip Saunders yelling at Olowokandi, stay inside. They have 8 turnovers. Minnesota does. They had 8 turnovers the entire game on Tuesday night, or Monday night, I should say.
Olowokandi is a smart, intelligent, articulate person. He is just not ready to play at this level of NBA basketball.
Stojakovic. Maybe Stojakovic. Oh, 37.6 seconds remaining. A 9-point Sacramento lead. You see the scoreless streak.
Vlade's going to torch him.
Foul on Olowokandi, who is really struggling. He's played 2 minutes and really had some problems. Reminder, or a question for you. Which team was the all-time champion? Log on to NBA.com and cast your votes. The all-time finals challenge only on NBA.com. Peeler just not able to find the range from the outside.
Minnesota has 13 shot attempts and 9 turnovers.
Well, they've got nearly almost twice as many turnovers as field goals. They've got a 2-second difference between shot and game clock. Cassell, that's a 3. Olowokandi the rebound. Garnett steps back for 3. Kevin Garnett from downtown. And that's his first 3-pointer of the playoffs. As Miller well short. And that will end the first quarter. A strong one for the Sacramento Kings. Something they certainly needed. As Minnesota goes over 4 minutes without a point. And they turn it over 9 times in the first period. Of course, Chris Webber, perfect from the field. He's 6 for 6 with 12 points. But it's also the Sacramento defense forcing all the turnovers. And after a couple of very difficult losses in games 2 and 3, they bounce back nicely. First quarter complete. First quarter complete at Arco Arena in Sacramento, game 4. And it's the Kings with a strong start. Chris Webber, 12 of those 21 points. He could not have played much better in that first quarter, Bill.
Former #1 pick in the NBA draft so many years ago. The perfect shooting. The shot selection was very nice. This is not a guy that attacks the rim anymore, but the decision-making and moving off the creativity of Doug Christie, of Mike Bibby, of Anthony Peeler has really worked well for one Chris Webber.
Now, Webber has only played in 31 games this season, 23 during the regular season, and obviously the 8 playoff games. Missed the first 58 games, had the left knee surgery in the offseason, and was suspended the 8 games for violating the substance abuse policy of the NBA. So between the injury and not playing, it's been a slow process, but Rick Adelman decided, hey, I'm going to throw him in. He's going to play major minutes, even if it disrupts things. As Miller misses.
And that's the right move, because this team is not going to win the championship without Chris Webber heavily involved. He had to play his way into shape, and he's still a critical component to what they're doing here, and I think still long-term.
Sprewell on a foul. Peeler with the bump, and Sprewell will shoot 2.
I was amazed really at the sense of attitude change here in Sacramento when I got into town this morning. I mean, they're ready to break up the whole team, fire the coach. What's going on around here?
Well, we have that same sense when we get into Minnesota after the game 1 loss by the Timberwolves. The complete change of perception from one game to the next. Rick Adelman was certainly aware of it. Joe Maloof said he was downtown. One of the Kings owners, of course, was downtown. People were coming up to him like, oh, my goodness, everything is so wrong. They were so dejected and so disappointed. But one win will change that.
It was as if someone had died, Joe said in the paper.
Sprewell was 1 of 2.
But the passionate commitment of these fans here, just remarkable. What a pass by Christie.
And Stojakovic thought he was fouled. Cassell. Elots did a good job, hand in the face. Matson was out of bounds when he touched it. King's ball.
Sam Cassell can't believe it. He thought he was hit on the hand. It sure looked like it by Vlade.
Cassell talking to Bernie Fryer.
I like the decision-making in the defensive transition for Sacramento that time. Doug Christie staying at home on Fred Hoiberg, who's been dynamite from behind the three-point arc in this series.
Miller. Going to pass to, they have an open shot.
Finally, Flip Saunders making the decision that Oliver Candy has had his chance. He's coming with Mark Madsen.
He's got a short leash with Oliver Candy. Give him a chance. That one was halfway down, and it's Divac the quick outlet.
The step out by Madsen.
Minnesota is a very good defensive team, and they have held the Kings well below their normal shooting. Garnett already with 8 rebounds in the game.
One of the good things about this series matchup is that the 3 best players for each team all play the same position, so we're head-to-head here.
Point guard, small forward, power forward. So you got the Bibby Cassell matchup, the Sprewell Stojakovic matchup, and the Webber Garnett matchup. Good defense from Peeler. Still Minnesota ball with 15 on the clock as Cassell's going to get his first break. Derek Martin will come in. Cassell sits down, just 1 of 5 from the field.
I'm surprised at that. I thought with the debacle at the end of game 3 that he would have come out on fire tonight.
Still a lot of time to go. Here's Garnett.
Minnesota still has 0 points in the low post. That is just unacceptable.
They're shooting just 32% overall. Peeler. And foul. Matson will be called for his first, and Anthony Peeler to the line. Peeler, during the course of the regular season, #1 in the NBA in three-point percentage. He shot 48% from three-point range, but he has really struggled for about this. Just 1 of 6 in this series, and overall in the playoffs. just 28% from three-point range. They need that, especially with Bobby Jackson out there. They need something off the bench scoring-wise.
He wasn't playing that much when Bobby Jackson was healthy, and with the right move by Rick Adelman. But as the playoffs move on, the focus is on the defense. And that's really where the change has come in the evolution of NBA basketball, the preparation game to game by individual teams on the defensive end.
Miller knocks it away. Big numbers for the Kings.
Nice spacing.
Miller started it with the steal and then finishes it down the other end. And Flip Saunders wants timeout.
Minnesota is playing like they're happy to be here. That won't get it done. All Sacramento early. Explosive start.
Largest lead of the game thus far as the Kings go up by 11. Minnesota Timberwolves, always so good protecting the ball, have turned it over 10 times already. And there's only 2.5 gone by in the second quarter. Kings right now in control.
And Britney. Apparently, young Mr. Walton has a thing for Britney Spears.
I've had a crush on her for a long time.
All right, older Mr. Walton, what's going on with younger Mr. Walton and Britney?
As I have told all of my sons over the course of their lives, some things are just totally and forever unacceptable here. But with Luke Walton being 24 years old, single, living on the beach in Manhattan Beach and playing for the Lakers, if he's not having the greatest time of his life, I have failed the father.
Is it true that you're also a huge fan of her in terms of her as a musician? Have you been to as many concerts, Britney Spears concerts, as Grateful Dead concerts?
Probably not. But I was singing today so much Jerry Garcia, also a little bit of Bob Dylan. Where are you tonight, Sweet Marie?
I heard you humming Oops, I Did It Again.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That'd be a good theme song for you, though. The travel on Garnett, and the turnovers just piling up. 11 now for Minnesota.
Mike Bibby's passing, though. 5 assists on the night. Flip Saunders had to take Olin McCandy out. He played 3 minutes and had 3 turnovers. What's up with that?
Christie. Christie knocks it down. Christie coming off that superb game 3 in the difficult loss at 24 points, 12 rebounds. In some ways, he's the heart and soul of this team, Bill. Would you agree?
And playing with that sore foot, truly inspirational. When he is aggressive on the offensive end, what can you do? Because he's the guy they normally leave open, as they're leaving Derek Martin open, the UCLA legend.
Martin answers back. That ends an 8-0 run. And Sacramento in control early. But we've seen teams in this series in the last 2 games be in control. Funny things happen. Christie off the mark that time. Garnett, 9 rebounds.
Minnesota just keep playing. Just keep running. This is not a deep team, Sacramento. They do go through incredibly dry spells.
We're helping out on the boards from Field.
Much like the drought that we're suffering through in the West out here. Sacramento will come back to the pack. Nice. Oh, that pass was wide open.
Miller and a foul before the shot. Matson will pick up his second. Shot won't count. And far from the limit. You see the turnovers. Already 11, which is so unlike Minnesota. You look, game 1 they lose when they turned it over so much. Games 2 and 3, protect the ball, they win both.
The offensive style that Minnesota is playing, settling for the perimeter jumper, very little movement without the ball. If you look at Flip Saunders' offensive strategy, run for layups, not threes, don't turn the ball over, player and ball movement, and they're just creating every sin in the book.
Well, Peeler's not hitting shots, but he's making other plays. Nice steal that time from the veteran.
I like the 3-guard lineup for Sacramento.
Hoiberg, good job defensively on Christie. And Hoiberg the rebound. Hoiberg has not just scored. He's done other things. He's known as a shooter. That's what he does best. But he's helped out on the boards. He's made some nice defensive plays there.
Everybody talks about the job Kevin McHale did in bringing over Cassell and Spruill. What about Hassel and Hoiberg, the role players that you need to win championships?
And a foul. Ball on Darryl Martin after Divac made the initial play. Martin pushed off. A reminder, Friday night on TNT, some Game 5s. They go back to Auburn Hills where the Pistons and Nets all tied up at 2 apiece. And this series will be at the Target Center, Minneapolis. Will it be tied at 2 or will Minnesota be up 3-1? So Mark picks up his second foul and goes to the bench. Cassell quickly back in. 5 minutes gone by here in the second.
Then they put Hassel on Bibby. Trying to slow down that penetration. Hassel is so disciplined on that defensive end. So much like Bruce Bowen, he just focuses in on the footwork, on the mindset of the individual that he's guarding. He really has no team defensive responsibilities. Nice pass.
Miller with another field goal, his third. He's got 6 points in the lead, back up to 12.
And got his haircut today. That's dashing as could be. Britney Spears will be looking at him.
You just don't want her near your boy. Hassel. And Weber, the rebound. Sacramento playing a good control game, Bill.
Well, Minnesota's playing right into Sacramento's hands. As poor a defensive team as Sacramento can be, why not attack the basket every single time?
Christie, but what Rick Adelman has been preaching is patience, where he feels that, you know, there's such a good offensive team. They're the best shooting team in the league, but we have a technical foul.
Rick Adelman cannot believe this. And if he's preaching patience, he's the only guy in this city who believes in patience.
Miller with the technical foul. What they call the technical on. Cassell misses it now.
That's really little.
Right. What I think they're obviously trying to do, because you've had some pushes and shoves, now let the players know to knock it off, but that's minor compared to what we've seen.
But what the big man wants to do is make sure that there's no continuation on that play. And that's a legitimate competitive response from Brad Miller. Overreaction by the referees.
Midway through the second here at Arco, the Kings still in control.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution. And MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Arc Arena's been loud, as always. Fans feeling a little better. The Kings up by 12 at the midway point of the second. This is such a great building, such a great atmosphere. And the reason you can say they're one of the best fans is because even when the team was horrible during those long stretches back in the 80s, they still packed the place.
Well, they have one of the longest sellout streaks ever. With Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell playing horrendous offensive basketball, how are the Timberwolves going to compete? The big guys, Miller, Vlade, and Weber, have done the job for Rick Adelman.
Miller strong off the bench. Grabs that rebound. But they're making the extra pass offensively. They're waiting for the screen to come before they make their move. It's been a nice, patient game for them.
Mike, I love the dribble handoff. I don't know why more teams don't use it.
Bibby pokes it back to Miller for a new 24.
Everybody wants to play totally one-on-one. Nice drive by Bibby.
A soft floater. Bibby with 5 points, 5 assists, and this is the largest lead of the first half.
How long can you go with Kevin Garnett sitting on the bench?
Trent way off the mark. That's why Trent in to help offensively while Garnett is on the bench, and we'll send it over to Jim Gray.
Mike, when we talked to Flip Saunders before the game, we asked him if the exhilaration of Game 2 was better or the relief of Game 3 was better. He said, both about the same. He said, if we'd have lost that thing, oh my God. So there was a huge relief. He said, but to win Game 2, he says, there's nothing quite like that. He said, they're both about the same. Only coaches can feel that, Mike.
And he also said that's one of the reasons his Peter puts it in. That's one of the reasons why some people don't like to be coaches. Games like that. Everybody else had a grand time. Rick Adelman and And Flip Saunders needed therapy after those games.
Speaking of the grand time, the spill out of the crowd at Target Center in Game 2 into the streets right outside. What a celebration that was. A celebration that right now is only belonging to the Sacramento Kings.
And the Kings, a terrific, impressive first half. The lead is ballooned now to 16. We'll be right back. Just under 4.5 to play, second quarter in Sacramento, along with Bill Walton and Jim Gray, Mike Green on hand, Vlade Divac, and the big men for Sacramento have had a big impact early.
Men are made in the paint in this league. Domination of the basket area is what gets you to that championship series. Lakers and Spurs are critical examples of that. But Mike Bibby spacing on the fast break. The running of the court by Brad Miller. The knockdown of the open jumper by Chris Webber and the initiation of the offense by Vlade Divac. What are the Timberwolves going to do about it?
Shot clock winding down. Hassel blocked. Miller got a piece of it. And a 24-second violation. No, the ball hit the rim.
Without question. Don't you just love the home court advantage?
So they'll get a new 24. Tell you what, the Sacramento defense, last year so much was made. They had a good defensive team. This year, their defense was not good. As Hassel, ball certainly hit the rim. Their defense was not good during the regular season. Their defense here in the first half has been terrific.
Like they're an older team now. They picked their spots. Vlade at the end of his contract. We did get confirmation from the Maloofs that Vlade's making $14 million this year, which they told us just now that it's significantly more than they're making themselves.
He is a free agent after this year. It's pretty well. Gary Trent trying to find Cassell. Minnesota 1 for 10 from the field here in the second quarter.
And nobody attacking the rim whatsoever. How many free throw attempts by the Minnesota Timberwolves? They took 29 in Game 3.
Stojakovic. Weber. Garnett getting the breather. And with him out on the bench, Trent is coming in. You see scoring problems for Minnesota. A lot of that credit has to do with Sacramento's defense. Garnett now back in.
And to show you how important Kevin Garnett is to the team, Flip Saunders went over and helped him up off the ground and said, please, get in there quickly and do something.
That's good coaching. There you see almost twice as many turnovers as field goals. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who were shooting 27% here in the first half.
And a near flawless game for Sacramento. Another grip by Sprewell and the Timberwolves.
Trent will try it again. Miller got a piece of the ball and apparently a piece of his arm as well. So Brad Miller picks up his first and Trent will shoot 2.
Gary Trent has moved back into the good graces of Flip Saunders. Gary Trent was playing a lot in the early goings of this season. Then when they had a slow start in Minnesota, where they were 9 and 8 coming out of the blocks, Gary Trent took the brunt of the coach's decision-making and went to the bench. The team exploded, caught fire, really got hot behind Cassell and Sprewell's offense. Gary Trent becomes the lost soul, gets out of shape, and he has taken to running home from the games in Minnesota in the ones he doesn't play.
I hope he was doing it during the spring and not during the winter.
In these early playoff games, when he wasn't playing much, he would wear his sweatsuit to the game, and if he didn't play in the game, he'd just jog home.
He's been injury prone. That's been part of his problem, but he's also a guy that he's out there for scoring. He's not a good defender and not as good a rebound as you'd expect from a guy that size. So if he's not scoring, it's hard to keep him out on the floor.
But he will physically mix it up, and I think that's what the Timberwolves need right now.
And a foul. And a chance for a three-point play. Peja Stojakovic's first field goal. It's a 16-point lead. Kevin, thank you. 16-point lead. Just under 3 to play. And again, they've only scored 6 points here in the second quarter, but if they can cut off some of the lead, they'll be fine going into the second half, Bill.
Mike, as one-sided as the first round was, this second round, every series is going to go a minimum of 6 games. Most of them probably 7.
This is the largest lead of the first half. As Minnesota just 1 of 12 shooting in the second quarter. Trent gets it in deep. And a good feed from Garnett.
And finally a finish in the basket area. Trent. Finally a chance to get into that area and deliver.
Well, they need help scoring because Cassell and Sprewell combined 2 for 14. And a foul call. Late whistle. Bernie Fryer says he got hit. Trent with the foul. And Weber will shoot 2.
The referees, Mike, will often wait to see if that ball goes in the basket before they call that foul.
And sometimes the outside official will wait to see if the official along the baseline makes the call, but sometimes that official's so close he doesn't have a good angle. So he'll wait, and if he doesn't, then he'll come in. That's why he's got 3 refs. Tonight's refs, Bernie Fryer, Jack Neese, and Jimmy Capers. Here's Bernie Fryer, who's one of 2 NBA refs who actually played in the NBA. Leon Wood was the other. Bernie Fryer played a couple of years in the mid-70s for New Orleans and Portland.
Bernie really needed to work when he played on the Blazers on his post-feeding skills.
Well, was he on with you?
Yes, absolutely. And he was a relentless gunner.
Cassell lost it, but last touch by Sacramento as we approach 2 minutes in. It's been a rough first half for Minnesota.
Terrific job defensively by Brad Miller.
They're doing what they did in game 1. Garnett touching the ball, and they're double teaming him every time. Hassel has to throw it out, puts it in. Trent Hassel with his 3rd field goal. He's their leading scorer with 6.
Say that again. Trenton Hassel is their leading scorer with 6 points with a minute 45 to go. What is going on here? Is it a timer?
How about Weber? 7 of 9 from the field. Weber 16 for Weber. Sam Cassell. Minnesota is shooting so poorly on every shot contested pretty much.
Like the job that Brad Miller has done off the bench tonight. Setting screens, running the floor.
Bibby lost it.
Knocking down perimeter jumpers, playing the great defense. Now he turns Sam Cassell away.
Hassel finding Trent, and Gary Trent barrels in for an easy 2.
But that's what makes this so frustrating for the Timberwolves, is that when you put that ball on the floor, you should be able to get to the hoop at will against this Sacramento team. Individually, they are not good defensive players.
They got some help from Trent with a couple of field goals, but still trail by 15.
This ball swing by Weber.
Shot won't go, and the foul's going to go against Brad Miller. So Miller will pick up his 2nd foul.
The numbers tonight of the superstars, Mike. Chris Weber head-to-head against Kevin Garnett. It has been all Sacramento and Weber. 10 rebounds, yeah, but that's because there's been so many misses.
But also a big difference there is Garnett has 2 guys flying at him every time he touches the ball. But it's obvious what Sacramento's doing defensively. They don't want him to be the one to beat them.
Okay, but when you get the ball, attack right away and don't stop. Just keep going.
But he couldn't. Weber was coming to double team.
Then pass the ball as soon as that guy comes at you.
That's what he's trying to do.
But that's the problem that Tim Duncan is facing. Tim Duncan is just getting that ball and stopping and letting the Lakers, Karl Malone, muscle him. How are you going to win a muscle contest against Karl Malone?
Sometimes, though, defensively, it's just very difficult. When teams decide, hey, we're taking the ball out of your hands. You don't want a guy to force it. There's Trent now. With 7 points off the bench.
As a great player, Kevin Garnett certainly is as the league's MVP. There is nothing the defense should be able to do to take you out of the game. You're either a great scorer or a great passer or both.
Meanwhile, Trent with 8 points. He had 6 points total in the entire playoffs before this game.
You want the other team to double team you, Mike.
Weber against Garnett. This is Weber just kind of forced it up. Looks back at the official. That was just good defense. Cassell flips it up. And just like that, they cut what was a 17-point lead down to 11.
Are you old enough to remember Johnny Egan?
I do remember the name, but I never saw him play.
Oh, he would come down that lane and look at Big Wilt and say, how high can you jump, big man? Catch this out of the sky. Johnny Egan.
The first Johnny Egan reference of the year. 11 seconds remain. Second quarter in Sacramento. It's been all Kings here in the first half. They've dominated, led by as many as 17. But Minnesota did exactly what coaches love. Last couple of minutes of the period, they knocked off 6 points off the lead.
Just keep working if you're Minnesota. Forget about the score and win every single ball. You're back in the game. You got a chance.
Taylor can't hit the three. Garnett the rebound. Garnett, that'll count if it goes. Oh, just short on target.
And what defense by Peja Stojakovic.
So despite being badly outplayed for almost the entire first half, Minnesota only down by 11 as we send it to Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. 16 points for Chris Webber. Chris, you guys defensively tonight, how did you manage to just give them 6 points in the paint here in the first half?
Well, last guy, we left our big guys on the island. You know, you can't give any post player 6-7 dribbles in this league. And we did that, and so we're just making sure that, you know, the big guys play one-on-one D, but the more dribbles the guys take, the more you come, quicker you come.
Will you continue to double team Garnett in the second half?
If he has 4 or 5 dribbles, you better double team anybody. You know, anybody can score with that much, and he's already a great player. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not the coach. We'll see what adjustments he has to make.
Final thought: is any lead big enough, or have you guys learned that lesson before?
We learned that about 3 years ago in a famous series, so no lead is ever big enough.
All right, Chris. Thank you very much for your time. Back to you, Mike. Like I said, Robert Horry is still on their minds.
Well, no wonder he's not overly enthusiastic at halftime, despite being up by 11. Our Toyota halftime show coming up. Kevin Frazier and the crew and at Times Square. The Heat is on. A great victory for Miami. We'll talk about that. Plus, they'll break down the Lakers and the Spurs. Terrific Sacramento defense as they force 13 turnovers and hold them to 33% shooting. But the lead is just 11 at half. Arco Arena, where the Sacramento Kings have an 11-point halftime lead. They trail this best-of-7 series 2-1. But some good numbers for the Kings in the first half, especially defensively. Some impressive numbers for them defensively.
Well, they hold the Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the best shooting teams in all of basketball, to 33%. And they force so many turnovers. The Timberwolves more turnovers than they have baskets. They are not attacking the rim. They only have 6 points in the paint. And the difference has really been Chris Webber, who has outplayed Kevin Garnett.
Garnett does have the 10 rebounds, but only 2 of 6 from the field. Now in Game 3, Garnett was just superb.
The game-winning shot down the stretch. The eyes checking the shot clock at the other end of the court. The turnaround jumper, as difficult a shot as you can possibly make. A different angle of that same shot, and that was the ball game in that overtime victory, 1-point game. But it has not been a good story for the big three of Minnesota.
Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, I just spoke to Cliff Saunders. He said we had way too many unforced turnovers. He said we didn't play like a team. There was too much individual effort out there. He said the way we played, we really should be down 25 or 30 points. I asked him then if he liked this position. He said, yeah, we're in pretty good shape considering what's going on in this series. Mike?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Jim, in terms of, again, the 13 turnovers, the poor shooting down by as many as 17, but the last couple of minutes, the end of that second quarter, they got back in the game a little bit.
And now it's imperative that Chris Webber comes out as he has his jersey in his mouth to come out and continue the relentless attack of this Sacramento King offense.
You see Minnesota's defense to start already. 4 on the shot clock. Irvin Johnson, good boxing out, then pursues.
Now, if you're Minnesota, get to the basket right here. Forget the perimeter game. Attack.
Both teams have fallen into that trap at times during the series where, you know, obviously better things happen when you do go to the basket.
Like right here, How's that not a foul?
Garnett didn't say a word. Good defensive play from Divac. Self bumping Christie as they go down the floor, but it's still Sacramento ball.
I understand the importance of a pregame meal, but this is the start of the third quarter.
That's some nervous energy. Weber's played well, however, misses that one. Over the game's leading scores, the only player in double figures.
How can you be nervous when you've been in the national spotlight if you've been in sophomore in high school?
Cassell knocks it down. You didn't get nervous, even when you were in the NBA for you as a big club fan, you didn't get nervous?
Nervous, anxious, just get it going. That's the great thing about basketball. The only thing you ever have to wait for is the opening tip.
Stojakovic has not been an offensive factor. Weber, nice move from Weber, and there's the low post presence, 18 for Weber.
Weber has outscored Kevin Garnett by 13 points in an 11-point game.
Christie just strips it from Cassell, and Weber throws it too hard. Stojakovic, oh, he saved it. Didn't think he had any angle. And Bibby can't hit the three. Garnett touched it last.
Flip Saunders cannot be happy. His players are not running, and the Kings are just laughing on the way to the celebration here. This is embarrassing for Minnesota. Kevin McHale will not stand for this.
Again, though, despite the fact that they have not played well, they're right there. As Divac sits it even with that. I'm sure McHale probably agrees with what Flip Saunders told Jim Gray, and that they're fortunate they're not down 20 to 25 the way they play.
It's a critically important playoff game, and the Timberwolves are playing like it's a summer league pickup.
Jackson. Hassel and a foul. Oh, necessarily have that thought in their head. They're just not playing effectively. Trent Hassel, who has 8 points, will get a free throw.
Nice slash to the hoop here, and everybody's stopping on the play as it is devolved into pickup basketball.
Divac's upset with himself as he picks up his first foul. And Hassel leading the Timberwolves in scoring with 9. How about Hassel has 9 and Gary Trent has 8. They're the leading scorers. And Minnesota's only down by 10. Stojakovic for 3. Especially though the way this series has gone in the last couple of games. There is no lead that is safe.
But the endless nature of NBA basketball, the fact that you can be so far out of it, you know it's not going to end for 2.5 more hours.
So, tough shot to go. Garnett had it, lost it. And they'll go the other way. Game 5 of this series will be Friday night back at the Target Center in Minneapolis.
Game 6, if necessary, back here at Arco on ABC Sunday afternoon. There's that dribble handoff.
Stojakovic. Get it to fall. Paige Stojakovic just 1 for 6 from the field.
Zone defense here by Sacramento.
Hassel lost it. Boy, the turnovers really hurt Minnesota. Christie can't finish.
Be a passer right now. You got the defender Garnett away from the basket.
Divac with the shot clock winding down. Weber off the mark. Garnett with yet another rebound. He's got 14 rebounds in the early third. Garnett, nice feed to Irvin Johnson. And Garnett with his 4th assist. And just like that, an 8-point game.
And will Mike Bibby have a productive second half, something that he has struggled mightily with in these playoffs.
Stojakovic now attacking the basket with the same result. 1 for 7.
KG playing like the MVP.
Sprewell for 3. Sacramento now struggling offensively. They've missed 8 of their first 10 here to start the second half.
But they don't have the go-to guy other than Bibby. With Sprewell doing a nice job defensively on that, they've got to play the motion passing game.
Bibby. Oh, Bibby went down hard. And it appeared he hit his head as well. Offensive foul. Man, he went down hard. Bibby picks up his third personal. Let's take a look.
The defense in perfect position. Sam Cassell running over underneath Sam, underneath Mike Bibby as soon as he leaves the ground. Dangerous play.
Oh, Cassell, did he have his heel on the restricted area? It was hard to see on that angle. Garnett. And hard foul from Vlade Divac. Garnett will shoot two as Divac picks up his second.
And this will be Kevin Garnett's first free throw attempts of the game. This is a guy who in this series has been averaging 9 free throws attempts per game.
So a timeout. Sacramento had the big lead in the first half, led by as many as 17. But Minnesota slowly chipping away. Kevin Garnett, the aggressive move. He's got a chance to cut it to a 6-point game.
NBA playoffs brought to you by Cadillac. Bold vehicles define convention. Sprite Remix Berry Clear. Rethink, Remix, Refresh. Universal Pictures The Chronicles of Riddick in theaters June 11th, unrated. And Goodyear Assurance featuring Triple Red technology.
7:17 remaining third quarter in Sacramento. Minnesota within 8 and some free throws coming up as Kevin Garnett will shoot a couple. Mike Bibby just picked up his third foul before on that charge. And watch Sam Cassell, watch his right foot in the restricted area. So that should have been a blocking foul as Garnett hits the free throw.
Kevin Garnett trying to become just the 5th player in the last 30 years to lead his team in the playoffs in all these categories. Points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. Joining the likes of Akeem Olajuwon, the 2-time world champion, Grant Hill, Chris Webber, Tim Duncan. Quite the elite list.
And look at that score. It's a 6-point game.
And no wonder the crowd here is just deflated.
Again, if you weren't paying attention to the score in the first half, you thought the Kings would be up by about 20. Miller spotting up.
And Rick Adelman goes quickly to Brad Miller.
Garnett stood with Hassel right there. Sam Cassell. Rustic Cassell even upset with himself. He's really upset after he shoots the ball.
Cassell and Sprewell are not playing well. And yet, this team is just down 6 points to make it 4.
Sprewell. And the transition bucket. There have not been many fast break points in this game. And they climb back from 17 down to within 4.
Latrell Sprewell, one of the few players that plays better on the road than he does at home in the playoffs.
Weber blocked by Garnett. And Christie lost the hammer.
Keep running if you're Minnesota. What patience by Trent Hassel.
Irvin Johnson decides to join his teammates on the offensive end.
You don't mind it when your big guy doesn't come all the way up every time.
Sprewell hits it. Latrell Sprewell, a 2-pointer, and it's a 2-point game. What a turnaround from midway through the second. And Sacramento led by as many as 17. An 11-0 run.
Got to be Peja coming off of screens.
Miller. A big bucket for Sacramento to end the drought. Brad Miller with 8 points off the bench. Cassell. As hot as Sam Cassell can be, there's sometimes his shooting can hurt a team if he's not hot. He's 3 for 12. As Christie spots up.
The long rest at halftime really hurts Doug Christie. That foot tightens up. It's one of the reasons why Rick Adelman tells us he keeps him in the game for such a long period. Nice pass through.
Irvin Johnson can't get it to go down. Made a nice reverse move. But it wouldn't fall.
2 times now, just rimming out for Irvin Johnson. One of the emotional spark plugs of this Minnesota Timberwolves squad.
Stojakovic with a hand in his face. That's just his second field goal. So it puts the Kings back up by 6.
How can a guy go from being the second leading scorer in the NBA regular season at 25 points a game to just getting 2 field goals here in the most important game in franchise history?
Well, Garnett isn't even the best players in the world can lose confidence. He's feed from Garnett. Can lose confidence.
He hasn't lost confidence.
He's even admitted that he's rushing his shots, that he's been impatient. You can see the way sometimes he throws it up there. Weber knocks it down. Weber said, hey, I got hit as well. Now some shots are starting to drop at both ends.
Kevin Garnett's got to close the gap between Weber and himself in this head-to-head matchup.
Garnett now with 9 points to go along with 15 boards and 5 assists.
With Weber shooting the ball so well from the perimeter, I think he had to start staying at home and not double-teaming Bibby so much. That's a traveling violation.
Instead, it's a foul on Irvin Johnson.
Fouls on Minnesota, number 21, Kevin Garnett.
Shouldn't they call it on Garnett? First foul on Garnett. Reminder to tune in to NBA TV immediately following every playoff and NBA Finals game for postseason, post-game press conferences, live and unedited on NBA TV. Garnett foul, his second.
Like one of the reasons that Minnesota's back in this game, in the first half entirety, they had 6 points in the paint. In the third quarter alone here, 10 points in the paint. And we still have 3 minutes, 47 seconds to go.
First year with Sacramento. First started off when Weber was out with the knee injury. And when Weber came back, he went to Rick Adam and said, hey, put me, I'll come off the bench. Let Vlade Divac continue to start. Let Weber start. He's been a terrific pickup for these Sacramento teams. Garnett drops it in. Garnett now in double figures with 11.
Like a very quiet first half from Sprewell, Cassell, and Garnett. 2 of them, Sprewell and KG, have come alive here in the third.
Sprewell's defense on Bibby has been strong again. Stojakovic. Nice move from Stojakovic. Just couldn't finish, and Garnett with his 16th rebound.
I'm seeing reluctance on the part of the Sacramento Kings here.
The ebb and flow once again as Cassell lost it out of bounds. Although they call a foul to Jack. Yep, each calls the foul. Penalty yet. It's a 13th foul against the Kings. Peeler picks up his second. Saunders wants a timeout. So Sacramento in a rough stretch here in the third quarter. They're struggling shooting the ball, and they've seen a 17-point lead almost completely disappear. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the third. Kings down 2-1 in the series and clinging to a 3-point lead.
The NBA playoffs on ESPN continues in a moment.
3 minutes left, Kevin, in the third quarter at R2G4 Arena. And the Kings lead is only 3. Time for our Cadillac game track.
Kevin Garnett, who was so very quiet in the first half, has come alive right now, leading a 8-point differential between Sacramento and Minnesota. 16 rebounds already, and we still have a ton of time left. Chris Webber has done his job, primarily in the first half and from the perimeter. Still trying to work those referees, but with Sacramento having completely lost their offensive rhythm, where else are they going to go? Only shooting 28% here in the third quarter. This is the NBA's best field goal percentage shooting team.
They led the NBA from 2-point or from the field, as you said, also from 3-point range, and they were second best free throw shooting team. Weber takes it away from Cassell, but he can't dribble it again. In a double dribble, Jack Neese calls the travel.
Just tried to pass that ball, but right when he went to pass it, Mike Bibby dropped his head to the floor trying to figure out where the opening opportunity was. And he picked it up, and that is the resultant double dribble.
He's right on top of it. There's a 9 turnover for Sacramento compared to 17 for Minnesota.
Dagger time for Minnesota. Get to the hoop. Momentum is in your favor. Don't settle for the perimeter game.
Cassell. That's a 3. Sam Cassell, and the game is tied.
Or knocked down the 3.
They've bounced all the way back from 17 down in the second quarter to tie this with under 2.5 to play in the third.
Minnesota shooting 56% in the third quarter alone. More than doubling the percentage of the Sacramento Kings.
Yes, Minnesota. Trent Hassler called for the person. So the second team foul. Hassler his third.
But now the depth. The superior roster strength that Flip Saunders has at his command starting to pay off.
The thing is, both teams missing key guys from their bench. Obviously, Bobby Jackson. As Weber lost it, Barnett took it away. Let's not forget Hudson and Sylvia out for Minnesota.
Yeah, but the guys who have filled in, Hoiberg and Hassel, have been superior to what Sacramento has done for Rick Adelman. 3-second violation.
Yep, Trent sitting in the paint. 18 turnover for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
But the exasperation that we saw in Flip Saunders face early now is one of positive and constructive reinforcement. He knows his team is right there. And Kevin McHale's theory coming in is playing out perfectly. To stand the surge in the first half and be there to win it in the last 5 minutes.
Well, you knew that Sacramento was going to come out with such force to start the game. And what's such a critical game for them. Bibby steps back and puts it in. Mike Bibby, just his third field goal. He's got 8 assists. And he puts the Kings back up by 2.
What you didn't know was the collapse of the Sacramento Kings. And this is a good basketball squad. It's not playing well.
Stojakovic with the steal and somehow fell into the hands of one of his teammates. The extra pass. 22 for Weber. And the Kings back up by 4.
And finally the crowd back into it. Timberwolves have done a masterful job of pushing them back in their seats.
Chris Weber having a very big offensive game. Nice. Just standing there all by himself, and Trent with 10 points. Huge boost for the Timberwolves.
The defensive rotations for Sacramento insufficient for this level of basketball.
Bibby fouls. Sprewell picks up his first. And Bibby will go to the line.
Talked about the shooting woes of Peja Stojakovic. The same story for Mike Bibby, who is shooting 55% in the first half of this year's playoffs, but only 38% in the second half. That won't get it done as your key go-to guy.
Reminder, Friday night on TNT, some Game 5s at Auburn Hills. Pistons and Nets tied at 2 games apiece. After 2 victories for New Jersey at the Meadowlands, and then Game 5 of this series at the Target Center.
Bibby's technical free throw in overtime when he fouled out, so costly to his team.
Sprewell trying to find some room. That's a 2.
That guy's hot. They should start milking him.
Not only does he bank it in, but it comes in and out.
Sprewell's averaging 21 points at the playoffs on the road. While at home, he's just barely 16.
Shot clock turned off as we wind down the third quarter. Bibby, tough fall away. Divas. And there's the buzzer ending the third quarter. After a rough first half scoring, Minnesota able to get things going offensively. Not exactly his intent, but the end result is all that matters. They scored 31 points in the first half. Minnesota had 26 in the third quarter alone. Fourth quarter set to begin at R2G4 in Sacramento. Low scoring affair as the Kings leading by 2. Hello again, everyone, with Bill Walton and Jim Gray, Mike Green on hand. A lot of scoring in Game 3. Defense is dominated in Game 4, though. And it's the
a moment of truth right now for Sacramento. If they don't win this game, only 7 times has a team in 154 series in the NBA history been able to come back and win from being down 3-1. And with the offensive futility tonight being outscored Sacramento in the third quarter by 9, game 3, the last game, and outscored by 10. Something is going wrong in that locker room at halftime with the Sacramento Kings. They are not able to sustain their offensive attack.
The game 2 and 3, the fourth quarter, have been real roller coaster rides. Wild comebacks as Cassell in and out. That one was halfway down. It was in game 2. Minnesota was down 10 with about 4 minutes to go. Went on a 16-1 run. Game 3, Sacramento down 14 with 4 minutes to go. Went on a 20-6 run. Wheeler lost it momentarily, but recovered beautifully.
And when you make Sam Cassell walk the ball up the court, you've done your job. No push, no thrust for Minnesota.
Cassell has missed 10 of his 14 shots from the field. Shot clock winding down. Divac's called for a foul. He grabbed the hold of Garnett before coming up with a steal. And Vlade Divac picks up his third.
Garnett has got to continue to work down low. They keep bumping him. Great screen there by Gary Trent. With Vlade going to the fronting defense, how can you not get Kevin Garnett the ball? He's only taken 2 free throw attempts. Consequently, the front court for Sacramento is not in foul trouble whatsoever.
Garnett calling for here. There's the double team. We've seen that all night long. Good ball movement. Cassell. Garnett tips it. And Christie comes up with it. And then a foul call on Gary Trent. Not a smart foul from Trent.
Sacramento wisely on defense. They're staying at home on Hoiberg and leaving Sam Cassell. Hoiberg, who learned in the early days of his career playing with Chris Mullin and Reggie Miller for the Indiana Pacers, where he spent 4 years, how to become a great shooter.
Miller lost it, got it back, and then committed a foul. I think it was Sprewell that initially deflected that. So Miller picks up his third, and already the second team foul.
Now they have Kevin Garnett. This is where they're very, very good at executing the offense because Sacramento can't exert any defensive pressure. It's an offensive foul. Great call by Jack Neese. Initiation of the contact from KG.
And then I believe Bernie Fryer just called a technical foul on Latrell Sprewell. So Garnett picks up his third personal. And Sprewell a technical. And again, Bill, we've talked about this. Here you are in such a crucial playoff game, and then get involved in this stuff.
And that just fires up the crowd. This is the last thing you want to do. That's the easiest play of the night.
And then after the whistle, as Sprewell was walking up, Christie hits the technical free throw. Watch Sprewell. Just ridiculous.
What is he thinking?
Sprewell, who's played so well defensively, and here Minnesota with a chance to go up 3-1. When you make a play like that.
Vlade has to reassert his impact on this game.
Misses that one, and Sprewell the rebound. 5-point Sacramento lead. Peeler pulls it in. Peeler's helped in this game. 8 points and 4 rebounds for Anthony Peeler. They needed some kind of contribution from him tonight.
Vlade's got a little one if they can get it back to him.
Bibby puts it in.
Flip Saunders has seen enough. The mental breakdown of his Timberwolves, unsatisfactory.
They're on their feet at R2G4 Arena. You can't call it a must-win because there's still games to play even if they lost. But Sacramento in a desperate situation and maybe some frustration from Latrell Sprewell. Bibby with a big shot. Kings by 7, but plenty of time to go here in the fourth quarter.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by The Day After Tomorrow. When it's all on the line, play like there's no tomorrow. Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. Sky Sport, the new low-carb ultra-premium malt beverage with a taste of citrus and cranberry. And Nike Basketball.
Welcome back to R2 Reno. I'm Jim Gray. Kings lead 64-57 here in the fourth quarter. Well, the fans are out tonight, a privilege that is usually reserved for Phil Jackson and the Lakers. The cowbells are out in force. That shows you how much they think tonight of Flip Saunders and Minnesota. They are coming out in full force. Of course, Phil Jackson called this a countdown. The police have asked behind the bench that they not disrupt Minnesota's huddle, and most of the fans are deciding to cooperate. That and the threat of being thrown out of here. Mike?
Kevin Garnett with a tip, Jim, and that cuts it to a 5-point game.
More important than cowbells is Kevin Garnett's dominance on the glass.
Garnett
Easily going to have a 20-rebound game.
He's got 17 now and is starting to come alive offensively after only 5 points in the first half. Now has 13 for the game.
How long will Adelman leave Chris Webber on the bench?
Oh, Bibby with a nice tip, but Miller couldn't finish. Still Kings ball. They'll get a new 24. Webber, the game's leading scorer with 22, but on the bench now.
Adelman has been roundly criticized here, and I think unjustly, for the tight rotation. When you're playing 7 players, but who's he going to put in? More importantly, who's he going to take out?
Miller, and that hit the shot clock. He's falling back when he took that shot. Shooting numbers, Sacramento 40%, Minnesota 40%.
Big gamble, though, for Rick Adelman. Yes, he's got a 5-point lead here, but he's got Stojakovic and Webber on the bench right now.
Stojakovic ineffective again, but it was the fourth quarter where he came alive in Game 3. He's only 2 for 9 from the field.
He had 22 points in the fourth quarter in overtime combined, scoring all of Sacramento's points in the overtime.
Garnett, a lot of dribbling. Axel. Miller with a rebound. Both teams have clearly played well defensively.
The pace of the game is remarkably slow for the way these teams normally like to play.
Anthony Peeler. Bibby trying to keep it alive, and Irvin Johnson the rebound.
Try to get something going in transition here. Free well. That's where he's at his best.
Garnett calling for the ball. Offensive foul. Garnett raising that left arm, hitting Brad Miller. And Garnett now with 4 fouls. And that's the 21st turnover for the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team during the regular season, second fewest in the NBA per game, but under 13 a game.
But the ability to establish your position, initiate contact is a great offensive force without drawing the attention. What a pass by Vlade!
Bibby can't finish as it goes down hard. Bibby yelling he wanted a foul. Rick Adelman told him to get up and play defense.
You have to capitalize here if you're Minnesota.
Offensive foul. Trenton Hassel as the old man, Vlade Divac, throws the charge.
It's still a mental game. Why Vlade can be so successful at this late in his career.
He's just such a smart player. Sets a tough screen. Bibby lost it.
Great hands defensively by Irvin Johnson. He just came out there in the trap, so effective. Bibby trying to split as he's been so successful with during the course of this series. They're going to jump it up at midcourt, which is a huge advantage for Minnesota.
A huge advantage?
Absolutely. But now you know you're not going to get scored on off the tap. Hoiberg right there.
Divac, finds Miller, and Miller's foul. Let's see if they call a flagrant on that. He shut him down. I haven't seen a call from the official yet. They're conferring right now. Bernie Fryer getting together with his 3 reps. The initial call was not flagrant.
How can it not be flagrant? You got a 2-hand push in the back and a guy on a breakaway layup. Scoring from half court on the tip.
just a regular two-shot foul, no flagrant foul. Rick Gallivan trying to talk to Jimmy Capers.
How can you give up a layup and then push a guy in the back off a jump ball from center court?
Yeah, to me, that's very borderline. Again, the definition of a flagrant one is unnecessary contact. Cassell was just trying to make sure he didn't stop this. He had the hand on his back, but he also reached around to make a play.
I just don't like fouls from
Come on, yeah. I agree. Normally, you'll see those called flagrant. That was very close.
I was there the night Cazzie Russell's career came to an end on a play like that.
And plays like that, you simply get hurt. You like that. Now, the difference between a flagrant would be you get the 2 free throws and possession of the ball, but Miller hits both. And the lead back up to 7. Cassell is fouled down the other end. So Cassell will go to the line. Stojakovic now coming back in. Christie's going to sit down as Bibby picks up his 4th. Cassell is at a rough shooting night. And so 3 of 4 from the line. 12 total points for Cassell.
But he's the kind of player Cassell is who can just play off for so long. And then all of a sudden it clicks in. The converse of that is true as well. He can play beautiful and then just completely fall apart as he did in the 4th quarter of Game 3.
Well, of course, it was Game 2 where he had the big 4th quarter and that fabulous comeback from Minnesota.
It was Game 1 that he had 40 points. Now only surpassed by Kobe Bryant's 42 from last night.
Miller taking Johnson off the dribble. Goes right at Garnett. Oh, beautiful play from Brad Miller. And the lead back to 7. Playboy draws the foul and just threw it up in the basket. He'll shoot 2. Weber called for the personal.
Brad Miller is going to need to get into the ice whirlpool after this game. And they are hammering him every time he goes there.
Hoiberg has not scored in 16 minutes. Only taken 1 shot. As you said earlier, Bill, they're very aware of where he is on the floor. He shot the ball so well. Sprewell back in, and Trent also sits down. Gary Trent also returns. Irvin Johnson sits for Minnesota.
And how about Fred Hoiberg? The chance of Freddie the other guy raining off the target. How far is this guy come?
He was so close to playing in Italy. He was ready to sign a deal. He had to sign it on a Monday, but during the weekend he got a call from his agent. They said Minnesota's interested. And just a couple of days later, if that call would have come, it would have been too late. Instead, he signs the free agent deal, and he's really helped them here in the postseason. Stojakovic short.
He's one of 5 veteran players on this Minnesota team, making the NBA veteran minimum.
Cassell trying to find an opening. Gary Trent. Trent can't hit. Approaching the midway point of the 4th quarter in a crucial game for Sacramento, and Bibby draws the foul.
And while Sacramento is finishing or getting to the line at their basket, it's Minnesota that's fading away and coming short on the front rim on their end.
Trent with his 3rd foul. Bibby from the line. You see, 4th quarter points for Bibby. He is the guy who has been fearless over the last couple of years in the playoffs. He's the one that wants to take the big shot.
Mike Bibby leads the NBA playoffs in 4th quarter points. The only guy even close is his teammate or his opponent head-to-head matchup here, Sam Cassell, who's a full point behind in 4th quarter productivity.
Bibby tonight 13 points and 8 assists.
Zone defense here again by Sacramento.
Sprewell way short. Weber tips it right to Garnett. And Kevin Garnett able to knock it down. Garnett with 15 points, 20 rebounds.
And he's been outplayed by Chris Webber. what will happen in the final 5.5 minutes.
Weber. Beaver. Brad Miller. 15 for Miller. And they're back up by 7. Chance of defense again here at Arco. Garnett. Weber flying in to keep it alive, but Stojakovic comes out of the pack. And Weber wisely slows it down.
It's no longer the explosiveness, the athleticism, but certainly the mind to create opportunities for others.
Terrific pass from Weber. And Miller's going to go and shoot some free throws, and we'll have timeout. Under 5 minutes remaining here in the fourth. Here's where things have gotten wild in the past couple of games. Right now, though, the Kings with a 7-point lead. 10 minutes, 2-1 in favor of Minnesota. They're down 7 with 4:50 remaining in the fourth. We're approaching that strange time. Game 2, Doug Christie giving Sacramento a 10-point lead with 4:11 to play. But then it was Sam Cassell time. He erupted for 10 fourth-quarter points and led the Timberwolves on a 16-1 run to finish the game and the come-from-behind win. Then on Tuesday, it was Minnesota's turn to lose the big lead. Up 14 in the final 4 minutes. Peja Stojakovic tied it in regulation. He had 22 in the fourth quarter in overtime. But then in OT, Garnett scored what would be the game-winning basket in the final seconds, and the Timberwolves won it. But 2 late fourth-quarter collapses. Will we see another tonight? Right now, Sacramento in control.
This is the only playoff series in the second round where the road team has won any ball game. If Minnesota is going to be able to take a commanding 3-1 lead in this series, they're going to have an offensive ignition here because Cassell is shooting 4 for 15. Sprewell 4 for 14. Kevin Garnett 6 for 14. Those are not the kind of inspiring numbers to get you over that hump.
But Bill, in both of those comebacks in the fourth quarter, games 2 and 3, both teams that were well behind, we thought they were dead in the water. Their body language, the way they were playing, it looked like the game was over. That was what was so amazing about both comebacks.
But they also involved complete collapses and mental breakdowns of the team that had the lead. We saw it from Sam Cassell. We saw it from Mike Bibby.
You see that one number of the turnovers, huge. Meanwhile, Brad Miller having a terrific game. 17 points for Brad Miller. Lead back up to 9. Garnett. Hoiberg for 3. Fred Hoiberg from downtown. Hoiberg, who's shooting 46% from three-point range in the postseason. It's like that. It's back to 6.
But Fred Hoiberg is finally in a position late in his career playing here where he's playing with quality teams. Those years in Chicago, he was lost.
Shot clock at 5. Weber. Miller battling. Garnett trying to take it away, and Miller comes up with a loose ball.
Miller's defense and his head-to-head play against Kevin Garnett has been determinant here in Sacramento's lead.
Miller makes his move. Garnett stays right with him. And a travel. He moved his pivot foot. Excellent defense from Garnett. A reminder coming up next on ESPN. It's Sports Center. Pacers in the lead. A breakdown of that game. When the Lakers win in San Antonio. And of course the top 10 plays of the night coming up on ESPN Sports Center.
You mentioned Garnett's defense. I think his defense and his rebounding are the strongest parts of his game.
Pretty much does everything well. Trent playing some big minutes. Sprewell just kind of flipped it up. Maybe he thought he was going to get fouled.
And Sprewell has not responded late in this game as he did in game 3. What a pass.
Benny with a beautiful three. And the lead back up to 8 with 3:15 remaining. 9th assist for Benny. 24 for Weber.
And all Minnesota can do is walk it up. Flip Saunders in a world of trouble right now.
Just, Cassell, good entry pass. Blocked by gets it back. Garnett's tip won't go. And Trent comes out of the pack again.
A lot of pump faking underneath the basket. Get the air and finish strong. Get to the free throw line.
Wheeler fighting over the screen. And Trent throws out of bounds. Another turnover from Minnesota. 24 turnovers for the Timberwolves.
Things have never been the same for Minnesota since Sprewell's mindless technical foul, and it's been Mike Bibby and Chris Webber's offensive creativity using the rim as the gymnastics apparatus.
With 2:42 remaining here in the fourth quarter, the Sacramento Kings leading by 8 as they try and tie up this best-of-7 series and 2 games apiece. The Sacramento Kings have not lost 3 games in a row all season long, but they dropped games 2 and games 3. 2 crushing defeats that had them down 2-1 in this series. But they put in a terrific performance tonight and have an 8-point lead with just over 2.5 to play.
Mike, give the credit to Chris Webber, who has been vilified here in this city. This is a team that played so well and had the great start of the season with the best record in the league. Chris Webber comes back and they can't finish the season strongly. Talking about trading him, the fans are booing him, and he has outplayed Kevin Garnett. +9 in points. Yes, Kevin Garnett has got 21 rebounds, but how can you keep a guy off the defensive backboard? It's been Chris Webber's defense, his finishing capability on his perimeter jump shots, and his creative leadership on the offensive end.
Sports Center coming up next. Also, credit Brad Miller. He's also done an excellent job, especially defending Garnett. But there's still plenty of time. If you've watched games 2 and 3 in this series, you know there's a long ways to go. Bibby blocked from behind, and a blocking foul called on Sam Cassell. Sprewell blocked it, but it appeared Cassell was in the restricted area, and Bibby will shoot 2.
Wild arm swing by Latrell Sprewell.
Nick Saunders
very concerned right now. Bibby able to turn the corner, though. You've got to be able to turn that guy back. And you come down a tremendous block and an incredibly dangerous play. When somebody comes underneath you like that.
And you see Bibby so much from the free throw line of the fourth. Now, you couldn't see on that replay, but when the play was live, it appeared that Cassell was in that restricted area. Bibby with 9 assists. Now perfect from the line. 6 for 6 tonight. The lead is up to 10. Largest lead of the fourth quarter.
If Sacramento loses this game, they will have lost everything, and the team will be totally revamped.
Cassell blocked by Webber, but a foul. Chris Webber picking up his second. And Cassell to the line.
The spinning pirouette down the lane, across the head, on the arm, easy play to call.
Crowd just saw the replay. Disagree.
Have you ever seen the home fans agree with a foul against their team?
No, I don't think I ever have. That's one time you can say never. Both free throws are good. Minnesota still within 8 as we come up on 2 minutes remaining.
Brad Miller's got a little one. He's got Trent Hassel over there. Sure, Hassel's a great defender, but Brad Miller should be able to torch him in the paint.
Miller with Sprewell on him. Does a good job shooting over, but does not get the roll. And Sprewell boxing out Miller.
Webber, a nice job keeping that ball alive.
Hoiberg looking, finding Garnett. Garnett spinning. Hut shot, banks it in. 6-point game.
That's where Garnett's at his best offensively. From the high post, be able to turn and use those pivots, both inside and out.
R2G4 on its feet. Bibby makes his move. Webber. Chris Webber with 26. And lead back up to 8. Timeout, Minnesota. Bibby and Webber working together again.
Bibby's ability to get down the middle of that defense, right over the top on that high screen and roll, has been determinant in this outcome tonight, Mike.
Weber ties this year's playoff high with 26. He's 12 of 20 from the field. As Bibby dishes off the assist, and Lipsaunters needs another timeout. Just under a minute and a half remaining here in the fourth. The Kings up by 8. Minnesota ball when we come back. Linden, thank you. There's everybody on their feet here at R2G4 Arena. The Kings on the verge of tying this series at 2 apiece, but you really can't say anything's in the books yet. The way this series has gone. I know there's only 121 remaining, but Minnesota down 8. Still can get back in this game.
But you look at Kevin Garnett here, and the 2 Minnesota Timberwolves victories, Kevin Garnett is taking 23 free throw attempts in those 2 games combined. Tonight, the other game they lost, which was game 1, Kevin Garnett has combined for 6 free throw attempts. As the MVP, that will not get it done.
Cassell right out to Hassel. Trent Hassel. Well short. Sprewell blocked by Miller, but a foul. And Sprewell will shoot too. That's exactly what Minnesota would love, is to score some points with the clock stopped.
That is the hardest play in the world to rebound. When you're sitting there and you've got a good shooter and Trent Hassel out there wide open, you're trying to find your man and box that, all of a sudden it turns into an air ball. How are you supposed to read that situation?
Hassel's not a three-point shooter. That's his first three-point attempt of the playoffs. Last foul on Brad Miller is 4th. Now Minnesota can pull within 6, excuse me. Sprewell hits this, so this one's far from over. They still have timeouts remaining. Minnesota has a full and a 20 left. Both teams are in the penalty foul line. Minnesota 18 for 20 from the line, 90%.
You've got to contain Bibby's penetration here. If you don't, you have no chance whatsoever.
Good help from Garnett. Bibby finding Miller, blocked by Cassell. And Miller with a chance for a three-point play.
It looked like they had Bibby under control. He does escape the double team, but the nice recovery by Sprewell. They have him trapped in the corner. The inability, though, to rotate him. And Adelman with everything on the line here. Ecstatic.
Miller with 20 points. Brad Miller coming up huge here in game 4. 9-point lead. Not giving up hope, although his team now down by 9 with just under a minute remaining here in this fourth quarter.
Like coming into this series, the edge that Sacramento had with the depth, quality, and skills of their big men, Brad Miller, Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, you would think it would be a very huge factor. Now, Brad Miller did not have a good first quarter. He doesn't play a lot in the first quarter. But the fourth, where Vlade has been relegated to the bench most of the stretch run of this season, Brad Miller has been magnificent. And finally, Sacramento capitalizing with that edge of their quality big men.
Sports Center coming up next. Sprewell finding Garnett. And a quick 2 points. That cuts it to 7.
Now you've got to start fouling immediately.
Sacramento, an excellent free throw shooting team. Sprewell trying to go for steal. I think he was trying to go for the foul there. And now Ronaldo wants to talk it over.
They just let 10 seconds waste away there. They're too far behind to start waiting for the shot clock to become a factor.
At least a 3-possession game right now with 45.9 left. Sacramento with a 7-point lead, and they'll have the ball when we return. Seconds remaining in the fourth. And the Kings with a 7-point lead. They have the ball with 17 on the shot clock. Minnesota has to start fouling.
Somehow you have to get, if you're Minnesota, you have to get the ball into Chris Webber's hands. Because he's the one who's suspect at the line. Well, they're just going to play this out.
Well, you know, with the shot clock now at 10, it's almost you try and get a position where you get a stop. Especially you don't want to foul Bibby. Webber floats it in. 28 for Webber. And that one just may seal it.
Flips on with no urgency to get to Sports Center. He's going to eschew the timeout here.
Hoiberg. Garnett steps back. Kevin Garnett. Webber with a rebound. Knocked away by Cassell. Hoiberg trying to draw a foul. Knocks it down. And that's a three for Hoiberg. Makes it a 6-point game.
Keep moving it or get it in Stojakovic's hand, although he missed 3 free throws in that last overtime thriller. The crowd, though, sensing here that this is Sacramento's night.
So Stojakovic will shoot with 7.6 seconds remaining and a 6-point lead. Stojakovic just 2 of 10 from the field. And his teammates picked up the slack, especially Chris Webber with those 28 points.
So Sacramento survives the desperate straits that they're in. The question is, can they go up to the target center and get it back? And the crowd will be ready.
And they've hit all 12 of their free throws in the fourth quarter. Sprewell with the dunk. But this series is tied at 2 games apiece. The Sacramento Kings in desperate need of a victory with an impressive performance. And they tie this best of 7 set. It's even at 2 with Game 5 coming up Friday night in Minnesota. Again, on final score, the Kings 87, the Timberwolves 81. Don't forget Lakers and Spurs tomorrow at 8 Eastern on ABC. And coming up next on ESPN, it's SportsCenter on ESPN2 NBA Fast Break. So for Bill Walton, Jim Gray, and our entire crew, this is Mike Green saying so long from Sacramento.